James Lennis. I'm going to do this vlog today. This is a vlog on value price point wines and the fall season ahead 2020. Stay tuned. So I want to do more vlogs because I think it's important, obviously, to balance it out with the individual bottle reviews or groups of wines that I do review over time. Now, simply, I think it's important to give more depth and character, and I also think there's that craving out there. And I started the vlog because one of you, my viewers out there, suggested I do that. So I thought that was a really nice suggestion. I do appreciate it, and it's something I've been wanting to do. So it's nice to have that affirmation and suggestion. Now, this is the 9th of September. Here's a picture of the outside in San Francisco. It's an orange sky. It's a Martian sky. It has been a very strange period of time. So today, I think the high is 69 degrees Fahrenheit. And that compares to, I think Sunday was 103. So there's a wild temperature swing. There's so many things that are happening in California and the West Coast in general. Fires. So Washington, Oregon, Mendocino County, and towards Yosemite, south of that area, you do have a fire district as well. And so all these things are happening all at one time, and it ends up in the Bay Area in Northern California. And so it's one of the strangest things I've ever experienced. So it seems like it'd be a bright period of time, but it isn't. It's actually, it's dark right now. It's daytime. I'm using, all the candle power that I have to power this video for lighting purposes. Amazingly strange. And, I think it does speak volumes. One of the questions that I have received recently is how do I think, wines are going to fare for this year? Vintage 2020 is to be decided. Just like the rest of the year, I think it's been a very difficult and challenging year in every respect, in every regards. I'm sure I'm not the first and only person to even suggest that, right? But I think that's where it comes to the wine world. Wines can, of course, there's the obvious worry about smoke taint, about higher temperatures. And so there's always a worry, even when it's not these very strange weather patterns that we're having. A few years ago, when I was picking grapes in Dry Creek Valley as just part of an experience, I was just listening to the winemakers and the vineyard managers, and they were worrying about rain. So there's always something that's occurring at the time of harvest. It is a delicate balance to be a grape grower, and it's one thing where people, I think, are always worried, concerned, as they should be. Wine is a direct result of agriculture. So when we think of the wine world, we're thinking that things are on the constant change in terms of global climate change. When I first moved to San Francisco about 23 years ago, we didn't have these weather patterns. They weren't as, I would say, pronounced in terms of fires. Yes, there were fires, but nothing like what we have today. And so when you have these orange skies, and I do not recall anywhere I've ever seen a picture quite like it. It is the most discombobulating. So anyways, we're going to go on and talk about value price point wines. So I've had some people who've said to me over time, you only review expensive wines. And I want to counter that. That's not true. Ultimately, especially this year, and I've recognized, especially during this crisis year, is that people are seeking lower price wines, and it's something that they're concerned. They still want to enjoy wine, and definitely I want to be out there supporting all producers, of course, but also thinking about those producers who are obviously smaller producers and struggling producers, and highlight those particular producers as well. There's a consumer, yourself, which might be included, is really seeking wines maybe in a sweet spot of $20, $30 and no more than that. And there's another consumer, I think, who's seeking wines under $20. So I sought out wines at a value price point. I feature those on my channel. So I minus out any sort of videos that are not wine related, those that have maybe they're regarding a food review, which I've done a few occasionally, only one this year, but I have done other reviews, coffee, tea, and so forth. But this year, it was really looking at the total number and being conscious of it. So this year, probably at the end of the year, I'll be at 35%, if not 40%, which means almost 1 out of every 2 reviews will be a value price point review that I've done. Now, right now, I'm clocking about 32%, between 30 and 32% of value price point wines. Value price point wines, you're wondering? That's under $20. So being cognizant of that, down below, you're going to see a hashtag value price point wines. And you just click on that. These are under $20. And if you need more help to find those wines in my channel, I have a playlist. So right up here in the cards, I'm going to place the particular playlist called Value Price Point Wines under $20. So there's no mistaking what I've reviewed in terms of the price point category. So, definitely, I definitely want to support, all producers. And I also want to not just eclipse, because my brand is really about exploration. It's not just about seeking out just value price point wines. I know there's specialists out there and that's what they do. That's great. But I think it's keeping an open mind about all producers, all places, all varieties, and all styles. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, just listen down below. And I definitely try to reach out. I've had people say, hey, can you lift even your screen up so that you're, talking at the screen versus a lower position. So, again, what you're asking for, sometimes I can definitely implement, or I find a great reason to do so, or you give me an idea. So I think that's the important thing to think about. So in this strange period of time, we, obviously tourism is down wherever you go because it's almost impossible to travel outside the United States. So if you're a U.S. citizen, you have to have a specific reason. That is, you're married, you're a relative, you're a citizen in that country, or you are going because of business. So I've seen a good number of people out there snapping photos. They're on a wine business trip and they're in South America. One online retailer did that. I actually thought it was really insensitive. I thought, if that were me, I would probably, especially during this period of time, be cognizant and aware that not everyone can travel. I think it's actually insensitive. And so, I actually didn't give a like. I should have made a comment, and I'll probably go back and make a comment to that particular person because I think it's really insensitive. The other part of it too is, if I have a story later, I'm going to highlight it. Yeah, I was in country X, Y, or Z in 2020. And I think that's just, looking back at something, not to highlight or gloat that you're able to travel. And it's also harder to travel within the United States. Many states say California is excluded or has a quarantine requirement for any state you visit. So theoretically, I have heard of stories where someone goes to Hawaii and they thought they could just, have their holiday, but they couldn't. And so they were quarantined, and if they didn't follow that, then they were, had some fines and probably other things that were filed against those people. So, it's not easy for people to travel. So I definitely want to be sensitive to that. And that also makes me think, and I've mentioned this in a previous vlog and also my podcast, where I think it's going to be really difficult to travel in the future. I'm not sure, unless there's a vaccine, I'm not sure we're going to be able to travel at any country for the next 2 to 5 years unless there is a vaccine. So far, looking at the phase 3 clinical trials, I'm not convinced that any of these are going to market. I don't think the FDA or EMA or other HAs, health authorities around the world, are going to approve something unless it's actually effective and safe. So I don't think we're there yet. And, I often wonder, when will I get to Italy, which is one of my favorite places on the planet to visit? And when will I be able to visit freely any U.S. state that I want to visit? And I think these are really, uncertain times. I like to see much more certainty, given by leaders elected and not, so that they're out there saying, yes, you'll be able to travel in the future. Here's what we're working towards, instead of a, 50 plus states with different, restrictions on travel, and their quarantining and all that kind of stuff is really, I think, part of the problem and why we can't get a handle on this. And that's why the state of Illinois has a separate quarantine program compared to the city of Chicago. Very strange. So, again, I think it's going to be hard for us to travel. Hence, I'm going to get to thinking about fall, meal times. I'm thinking of Thanksgiving or special meals you might have this time of year. I'm thinking of even Christmas or New Year's. And what will that look like for most people? Unless I'm able to travel, it's going to be very subdued. It may be just me, myself, and I. And that's very remarkable, because it seems like there should be some methodology that we can all get together, at least those people that have been under quarantine or, SIP, to be able to share a meal together and not feel like you need to wear a mask, or feel like, you can't be around those people you enjoy being around. So I think there's something that we want to see. I do think for this year, and based on sales for wines, looking at Nielsen and so forth, and not just talking to Nielsen, talking to importers, talking to wine distributors, retailers and so forth, it just seems that we are in a really stuck position. So if you're a big brand and you have mass market, capabilities, or you're an online retailer, those particular brands that are represented will do well, or maybe do well. It's really even questionable at that. But I think there's so many people who are not doing well. And look at Nielsen and everything that seems to be double-digit happiness. That's not true. So I do know people who are struggling to sell through their cases. So the 3-tier system in the United States about distribution is probably one of the least market-friendly things about the United States. It's very odd that it exists, and yes, it's because of Prohibition. So I definitely get that. So 99.9% I'm probably going to spend Thanksgiving by myself, if not Christmas and New Year's. So definitely I bring out my better wines because, you know, stuff I've been in my cellar, I want to share. It's a special wine. And this year I may not even do that. I may just, you know, buy some nice wines or have nice wines that I'm going to be, you know, pouring for myself. And you're really not going through that, you know, experience and excitement because I definitely want to reserve that for another time. And so I get a sense from talking to people I know that even those that have not been affected severely by this particular crisis that we're in, that I think people are being very, very careful on what they spend, even what they drink. And these are individuals who really are doing well even by today's standards, who are fully employed, who have healthy household incomes, and are still pulling back. And so maybe there's the insecurity of not knowing what will be around the corner. So I think fall will be a lot more subdued. I think there's going to be the promotion of virtual tastings, not just for trade like myself or media and trade like myself, but for consumers like yourself out there, if you are a consumer. And I think there's that position point where people are going to be tasting again. The summertime that completely fell off, right? I was just doing very, very few tastings, uplifting to, you know, the fall time now, September through October. There's a lot scheduled. There's a lot of events scheduled online, which I think is a good thing. So bottom line is, you know, think about what you want to do for the fall time. I'll probably have some follow-up videos or, you know, suggestions on fall time wines. And I think it's still to enjoy, celebrate, even explore, right? So for me, it's Gamay, it's Zinfandel, it's Pinot Noir. It is thinking about, say, Nerello Mascalese, Etna wines, thinking of Sangiovese wines. I want Alta Longa wines, Champagne, I want Prosecco, I want Cava, I want sparkling wine. So, you know, again, there's a way to explore and to keep up your, you know, looking forward to things. And so I'm not going to be subdued by saying, don't enjoy these, you know, experiences. Don't go challenge yourself to not enjoy beautiful wines. Definitely do that, because I'm really, you know, champion for obviously the smaller producers and for those producers that are especially struggling and need help today. So think about that. And so I will see you in the next vlog, probably next month. Based on timing, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do more than 1 or 2 vlogs per month. So thank you for watching. I'm getting some things done, which is I've met my, you know, 500,000th hit on my YouTube channel, which is really awesome. Getting to that particular subscriber base, which I'm really happy with. So thank you for subscribing. And if you haven't, please consider subscribing. And if you have, thank you so much. And so I will see you in the next video. And I actually have some evolution in my channel. I will be doing some wine education videos soon. So thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more. And I'll see you in the next video. So between videos, you'll find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and WordPress. You'll also find me on my podcasts, which are Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next video. Santé.